What's going on, car family? I'm Ben Wayne, and thank you for joining me in another video. Today, we're here to check out an American icon. This is the 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4xE Willys Edition. Now, the Willys Edition pays tribute to the original Willys, which was the first mass-produced all-wheel drive utility vehicle produced between 1941 and 1945 and had a heavy hand in World War II, which explains the paint scheme that we're getting here. I think the paint scheme is pretty awesome. Now, of course, it looks like the traditional Jeep that we've come to know and love, with some minor changes with the last refresh. But let's talk about the power plant first, since we mentioned that this is a 4xE. So let's see what's underneath the hood here. All right, I had to prop open the hood. All right, so if we prop open the hood, what we have is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo producing 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. But I mentioned that this is a 4xE model. So it has 2 electric motors, 1 starter generator motor that produces 44 horsepower and 39 pound-feet of torque. And then we have a transmission traction motor that produces 134 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque. So your total output, 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in just 6 seconds, but you can really get it closer to 5. Your fuel economy, you're looking at 20 mpg combined and 49 mpge, and this is all connected to a 17.3 kilowatt hour battery pack, 22 miles of electric only range. But I must mention that the 4xE powertrain does add an additional 800 pounds of weight compared to the traditional internal combustion engine variants of this model. So that is something that I just wanted to share with you guys, but a lot of figures there, a lot of power is found underneath the hood here between this 2-liter 4-cylinder and the electric motors. Let's go ahead and drop the hood. And of course, the engine compartment is accessible by just about anyone because you have these latches here. I'll close that up at the end of the review. Taking a look at the front, we have all LED everything. I like the nice modern look. You'll notice the 7-slot grille, which is traditional, is wider and done in black. And of course, you got the steel bumper with the tow hooks as well. But overall, it looks like a traditional Jeep. This is one of those designs where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. LED markers there, body color flares. I just like the overall look of this thing. I wasn't sold on Jeeps at first till I started reviewing them. I was always wondering what the hype was about, but it's like when you drive one and get to experience it and then, get away from everybody else who's driving a Jeep, it just truly becomes a memorable experience, honestly. Coming to the side profile, again, the traditional Jeep looks. You'll notice the massive off-road all-terrain wheels with the 17-inch body color wheels. I like that. We have the charge port here as well. So there's an onboard charger on this one, 17.2 kilowatt hours for that onboard charger. And of course, you can charge this to a full charge in about 2.5 hours on a level 2. That's actually pretty quick. You'll notice we have 10.8 inches of ground clearance. You know what this vehicle is about, so ground clearance is a must. And then we have the rock rails on the side as well. Now you'll notice I do have the roof retracted back. This is a one-touch roof, so it just slides back. That's nice, providing unlimited headspace. Let's talk about the rear storage. Simply lift this glass up. So you're looking at roughly 30 cubic feet of storage. Drop the second row, that'll take you up to roughly 64 cubic feet. Just have some charging cables and stuff back here. LED tail lamps, and of course a full-size spare. Just a traditional Jeep styling. I like how they don't change vehicles like this. Iconic vehicles like this don't need to be changed. This is obviously something that works. This is obviously is something that has a cult following, and there's a reason for that. And Jeep knows that, so they know not to change the product. Just getting you guys another look Almost forgot to mention the 41 on the hood. I think that's a really cool touch, especially when you know the history behind it. So again, this one is coming in at about $74,000. Let's go ahead and check out the interior and see what it has to offer. So you see we have the cloth seats, again, with that heritage theme going throughout. I just think that's so cool. Reminds me of Indiana Jones a little bit. You know, when Sean Connery and Indiana Jones were running around in the Jeep, the old school Jeep. That is what this reminds me of. It gives me those vibes, and just to see it tied back so strongly to its heritage from 2025 to all the way back then, it just is cool. It's just cool if you know about it. All right, so the interior, we have a 12.3-inch display screen here. So you're getting all the modern features, the wireless Apple CarPlay, everything that you could need in a nice modern system. Coming lower, we have the air conditioner controls as well. Coming lower, your outlets, USB Type-C and USB Type-A, an auxiliary port. Controls for your windows. Remember, the windows controls are not going to be on the doors. The doors can come off, right? So the window controls are all placed here, so they don't have to worry about any electronics on the doors. Now the windows, they're not one touch up and down. Only the driver's seems to be one touch down. I wish all of them were one touch up and down, but that's not a big deal. Rear axle locker, solid front and rear axles on this one. Your gear selector, all-wheel drive controls, 2 cup holders. You guys know the drill. This is a Jeep. I like this material here. It's almost feels like a denim. It's different. And then hard touch materials on the dash, of course. Hard touch plastic on the doors as well. But overall, when it comes to the interior, you know what you're getting. It's very traditional in this vehicle. Nothing new, nothing crazy. The seats are a lot more comfortable than the Jeeps I've experienced in previous generations, so that is a significant improvement. Let's go ahead and check out the back. All right, so I'm gonna sit behind myself and see how spacious it is back here. All right, so sitting behind myself, it's a little tight, but it is not the most cramped interior ever. And then of course we do have air conditioner controls and then window controls as well, located in the center console because the doors come off. Right, so overall, you could sit back here for quite some time, enjoy the open air. But this is what the front of the cabin looks like from the back. Nice modern interior without changing too much. Remains true to the Jeep brand. That is what I like about this vehicle the most. I think the ties to the heritage. They don't forget who they are. They don't forget the past. They don't try and do too much with each generation change. It's a Jeep. You know what it is when you see it and you know what you're getting. And I think that's something they're able to sell a lot of people on. Let's go ahead and take this thing out for a test drive and see how it drives and see what the experience is like. All right, so testing out this Jeep Wrangler 4xE, the first thing you notice is that the roof isn't insulated whatsoever. So any noise that's outside, you're gonna hear it, but that's fine because this is a Jeep. You have to remember what type of vehicle this is, what it's made for, and who it's geared for. And besides, the roof is one touch anyway. I like riding with it open. I think that is by far one of the coolest features ever. I tested a Jeep 4xE a couple years ago that had the manual cloth top. I prefer this one, but the cloth top was still easy to operate as well. So if you want the cloth top, you know, that's not a deal breaker. It's fairly easy to operate. You can do it fairly quickly. So this is a fun vehicle to drive. You know, there are a lot of people who don't like the look of it, but this is something where you have to understand it's all about community. You see another Jeep, and you have to wave. There you go. Somebody just waved to me just then. They had a Jeep Wrangler. And it's something about that experience while driving this vehicle. It just makes me smile. Now the powertrain, you know, with the 2-liter 4-cylinder and then the hybrid system, this thing moves. It has a lot of power, and you can really feel that. Now Jeep claims it does 0 to 60 in 6, but it feels closer to the lower 5s, honestly. So let me just start from here, and this thing, it just moves. So you have more than enough power. You don't feel like you're lacking the power at all. The torque kicks in. There is a bit of turbo lag, it feels like, but once it kicks in, it kicks in. Now, overall handling is what you would expect for a Jeep riding on, you know, all-terrain tires that got to be like 32 inches large. You know, this is not a Porsche 911, you know. It's purpose built, and every single aspect of this car reminds you that it's purpose built, from the rubber floor mats, the drain holes, the hinges on the doors. You know, everything reminds you of what this is and the heritage behind it. It's just a fun car to drive. Now, in terms of comfort, you do have heated seats here. I do wish they provided cooling for the price point, but I understand. So the seats feature 3 levels of heating, and the seats are fairly comfortable. Like I said before, they're much more comfortable than some of the seats I've experienced in previous generations of Jeeps. And then of course we have this nice large 12.3-inch display system here, giving us the wireless Apple CarPlay. So, you know, between the USB ports, the wireless Apple CarPlay, the heated seats, there are some items in here, you know, that you weren't getting before. So there are some creature comforts here that you can enjoy. You know, even a heated steering wheel, right? So they did keep that in mind. But overall, this is just, it's a fun vehicle to get around town in. You know, I understand some people, they look at this and they're like, man, I don't like the look of it. But get behind the wheel of one and experience it for yourself. You know, the community that comes with this thing, and just the fun factor of being able to hop in something. It doesn't matter if it's clean or dirty, it still looks good. Open up the roof, detach the top altogether, take off the doors, and just go out for an experience. And that is what this vehicle is about. So let me know what you guys think about this one in the comment section. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're into model trains, I also have another YouTube channel called Ben's Trains. Check that out if you're into that type of hobby stuff. But anyways, until next time, I'm Ben Wayne, the automotive reviewer that YouTube deserves. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.